So good to be here and so good to see your beautiful faces. So to begin, as a point of access, I am a white Ashkenazi female. I have long brown hair. I'm sitting in front of a long couch with two big pillows. I am located in Toronto on the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Huron-Wendat, and the Mississauga of the Credit River. And I'm grateful to the ancestors of these lands and to their descendants, and also to all of our benevolent ancestors who are hanging out with us at this time in this place of practice. So let's begin with a song. Okay, let's begin with this song. And I'm just going to close my chat so I don't see the movement there and come into full presence with you. Kimcha mekor chayim beorcha nireh or kimcha mekor chayim beorcha nireh or. The words of this song come from Psalm 36, Pasuk verse 10. I'm going to show you in a moment. They come from, you might locate them before the bracha, before the blessing for putting on talit, prayer shawl in the morning. The melody came to me at this time of the year, just before Shavuot, several years ago, as I was preparing to lead a Shavuot retreat at the Isabella Friedman Jewish Retreat Center. It was the retreat that had been created and led for many years by Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi, Zichrono Livracha, of blessed memory. And so the melody and the words returned to me as I was preparing and practicing in Yesod this week. Let's take a look at the words. Adi, if you don't mind posting them. So here are the words. Ki imcha, maybe more directly, with you, mekor chayim, a source of life, beorcha, in your light, nireh, we see, or we will see, or light. And this gorgeous translation by Norman Fisher, for you are life's wellspring. You are the light within the light. Why did this come to me at this time? First, the melody, I think, first came because I was thinking about this time of year. I was thinking of honoring Reb Zalman. I was thinking of the bonding, and Yesod as its meaning can also be bonding. And I was thinking the bonding that had happened with him in such profound ways. And then he died a month later, and people did at that time and continued to be so bonded and connected to what he had offered in the world. And I was also thinking, though, about foundation. Yesod, foundation and grounding. And I wondered about this life source, this life's wellspring as foundation. A foundation that is, thanks Adi, a foundation that is vast, bigger than us, into which we rest all the time, which is holding us, swimming around us, within us, supporting us at all times. And so this is where my curiosity led me. And of course, today is also specifically Hod Shebeyesod. That's the companion divine attribute that's with Yesod. And last time I was here, a month ago, just before my 50th birthday, so I'm quite a bit older. And with this wisdom, I come to you. But last month, I taught Hod as a Sai. Hod. Now, I still feel it as the Sai, but I want to expand where we go. And so we have the gift of a practice that is embodied, which means that we nurture imagination and inspiration from stories and concepts. And yet we experience the practice, or we look to experience the practice in our bodies so that we can have the lived experience for deeper learning. So let's turn then to our bodies to first have this experience again. I say again because we've been, some of us sitting with it each week here at IJS. Again in the body, and then let's see if perhaps the body can take us then to expand outward to find and re-meet the words of the text from Psalm 36. So if you haven't already turned to your formal practice, I would invite you now to settle in, to turn off the notifications as Josh already invited. For many of us, this will mean sitting, and for some, it's lying down. So wherever you are, begin to settle in. You might want to close your eyes or let them settle on the ground in front of you. Mark, this week, when he taught about Yesod, he showed us a picture of the pelvis, beautiful bowl of bone at the center of the body. I want to invite you to engage with your pelvis at this moment in a light way, just a gentle touch, noticing this surface upon which you are seated, this seat with which you are seated, resting on it through the sit bones, the ischial tuberosity at the bottom, that act as just like little petite, gentle roots at the bottom of the pelvis that can let us root through to the earth. You can imagine those roots going down and spreading out with more roots and more roots, supported really by the earth. And then, as Yael taught yesterday, we have many foundational places in the body. So if your feet are on the floor, notice your feet resting against the floor. Again, just a light touch. Just notice the sensation of contact. There is rest there. There is the ground holding up your feet, legs which hold up pelvis which holds up, and then we go up the spine. So now we notice the spine. Each vertebra actually resting on the other, each vertebra a foundation for the one above it, with these beautiful joints where the one above can rest. We go all the way to the top of the spine where we have Atlas, and on that is our head resting on that top vertebra. Beautiful little, kind of like if you cupped your palms, it has little joints like that the head rests into. And that's its foundation there. And just nod a little bit, yes and no, very gently. And on the lowering to, yes, sorry, nodding yes, just yes. And on the lowering down of that nod, and just hang out there so that the neck can be long and the head indeed lifted up by the crown. Foundation. Allowing ourselves to be held. And then breath. Noticing breath moving. Moving our bodies. You might notice shoulders rising and falling. Heather guided us on Monday with a beautiful invitation to notice bonding with the breath, connection. Maybe you notice the breath rising and falling at the heart center. And if you want, you feel comfortable as you're able, you may bring your palms to that heart center just for this moment as an assist. Resting your palms on your heart center at this place that Kashira taught about of Tiferet, of balance between Gvura and Chesed, the compassionate place of the heart center, rising and falling. And as you soften in the falling down, in the resting place, notice the possibility for softening to sort of extend or tumble down from the heart center straight down towards the pelvis, where our beautiful chart that we were shown this week shows Yisod lives, this place of grounding. A channel from Tiferet to Yisod. A softening through from heart down to pelvis, but maybe not stopping there. Softly softening further, maybe into the beginnings of the legs, through the sitting bones and into the earth. Each exhalation, an opportunity to soften, to let unraveling, unwinding, unlatching, unhinging, gently, just little holdings, not big places of holding, but just little grips, unwind, undo all the way down, and releasing, softening all the way into the earth. And this release is Hod, not a collapse, but a softening into what is. Gently, as Sam taught during the week of Hod, gently, softening gently, releasing gently. That means just light expectation. You might notice that at the bottom of the exhalation, there is a natural pause. Just see what you notice. Here we are, softening, easing into this earth, vast pool of blessing. And as you inhale, you might bring the light up from there, up through the body, filling all the nooks and crannies, the spaces behind the closed doors, just touching them gently, the light warm and glowing, loving and respectful, supportive and energizing. The heart rises and falls as it falls. We ease down through the channel from the heart all the way through to the earth, resting in that pause at the bottom of the exhalation. Even if we don't know what's there, allowing ourselves to be in what is before the inhalation returns and fills us with light once again. And we rest here in silence, softening, filling. Releasing into the vastness. in these last moments, noticing what may be pleasing about this resting. Noticing something that brings you some ease, maybe even pleasure, maybe delight, buoyancy, tickles you about the idea of having a spa inside your body, that you don't have to go out to get it. You could rest here at the center of your chest. There's a spa there as the heart center settles. And that there's a spa there at the bottom of the body towards the earth as we rest there. And in fact, there's a source into which we are resting all of the time that is vast, beyond the boundaries of our own bodies, identities, and thoughts and feelings. Indeed, light, a source of life, that fills us with light, of which we are made. Light within light, within light. Ki imcha mekor chayim beorcha nireh or. Ki imcha mekor chayim beorcha nireh or. Thank you for being together with me in practice and together with each of us. You can look across the screen and see the beautiful light in each of those beings. May this practice be for the healing of all beings. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Aviva. I invite you to stay around to be able to ask questions to Aviva or offer your reflections in a moment. Before we do that, we're going to pause for those who are reciting. We're saying Kaddish in memory of someone. Invite you to join us in reciting Kaddish. And the text is on the screen, and you're welcome to unmute yourself if you'd like.
Amen. Amen. Shmei Rabba Mavarach Olam Maya. Yitbarach Riku Shmela Mishirta Shirita Tabanetha Amen. Hey Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya Nuvia Kol Yisrael Hey Shalom B'Nama Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Umaru Amen.
Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Al Kol Yoshvei Tevel.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, thank you again. Those who'd like to stay are welcome to do so. If you are leaving us, We wish you Shabbat Shalom and good health, and hope to see you again here on Monday, same time, same channel. So Aviva, thank you again. I was really struck. I was starting to think, what was my first question going to be? And then you sort of anticipated the question, which was, I was looking back at the pasuk, at the verse, and that the first person plural of that we see your light. And I was thinking about, I was wondering just, how the fact that it could have said ere, or I see your light, but it says nira. And I wonder what that does for you in the context of your teaching.
Right, beautiful question. Well, this is an incredible benefit of being here together in community. I sit on my own, and I sit with a partner once a week. Then I sit with my community, Neshev, so 6 people, 10 people, 15 people. And then sometimes I get to come and sit here with you, 300, 400 people. And it helps because we're in lockdown at the moment. So it's not that I don't remember being with other humans, but when I see you, I'm reminded this is not a singular project. And as our dear Rabbi Sheila Pelz-Weinberg reminds me often, things like, this is not your pain, this is not your sadness, this is not yours alone. You are not separate. You are part of oneness. And it is indeed our nature, our human nature, to forget. So this is a beautiful, in fact, Josh, actually, I didn't see it until I was speaking it either. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it like that before. So it's helpful that it's not my own project, this piece about remembering that we are light, that we are all light. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehora, like each and every soul is that pure light, little bulb of light beaming around with stuff on it, bones and tissues and clothes and things.
Yeah, I've often been struck, and also I want to invite people, if you have questions or observations for Aviva, please enter them in the chat. When you're saying that, I've written about the fact that like the existence of this set is such a incredible phenomenon to me that every day several hundred people get online, turn on their Zoom, and close their eyes just in order to be in each other's virtual presence, right? And there's something about, to me, it's almost like, there's virtual reality with your Oculus goggles, and then there's spiritual reality, right? Where we can really, that's been this revelation, I think, of this time, is that, and it's actually not a revelation, it's something we have in our own sources, the halacha of, if you can't make it to minyan, you should daven at the same time that the minyan is praying, right? That was already there, but we're sort of tuning into it, in a new way. So, all right, hold on, a few questions have come in. Ooh, okay. They all came in at once. Okay, so we'll try to take them in order. Question, I'm always thinking about the darkness preceding the distinction of darkness and light, and so not comfortable with the selective emphasis on light, and the preference for that implying a binary with one part seeming suppressed, the oneness needing to be both darkness and light. This is Margaret's question.
Okay, thanks.
I wonder if you want to respond to that.
I'm going to read it again, Margaret, just so I know that I'm with you. I'm always thinking about the darkness preceding the distinction of darkness and light, so not comfortable with the selective emphasis on light. Preference for that implying a binary with one part seeming suppressed, the oneness needing both. No? Yes? I would just say yes. I don't notice the binary myself, although, sorry, that's maybe not true. I noticed the binary in that I hear the emphasis. Yesterday there was emphasis on light. I often am talking about darkness, I think. So today was actually a shift for me. But the light is not there without the darkness. So for me, they're partnered. They're part of the whole. I think in agreement with you, Margaret. Maybe light, maybe you might use a breath there instead, if that feels better for you. In terms of what comes up from the earth or energy, sometimes it's helpful for people to see it as something, a color of light, But I think my dear friend, teacher, and colleague, Reb James, often says that we have humans, he's often reminding us that humans have a negativity bias or tend towards the negative and not to notice the possibility for buoyancy. And right now we do very much need to nurture that, which helps us actually get a little bit lifted. So I'm not sure that necessarily is an answer as much as just letting you know what I'm thinking about light. I'm thinking I need to keep nurturing levity. So maybe less about the light and darkness light, but more about the things that lift me up so that I can attend to that deeper space that is full of neither good nor bad, but is just full of things for me to be with so I can be more effective in the world. The answer is yes. I think your question was no. And so I'll say, yes, I'm with you.
Question. Carla had the question, when I think of my foundation besides body and all the body resting spa areas, that was really nice, the spa areas. I also think of my heart, mind, and spirit. Can you discuss how today's theme integrates or applies to the foundational points of the heart, mind, and spirit as resting or supporting points?
Wow, what a beautiful question. Heart, mind, and spirit as resting, supporting points. I don't know about you, but I think I often also forget that we are integrated. So it's hard to do the integration perhaps because we spend a lot of time like this, leaned in. Like, actually, I'm thinking a lot about this these days. I'm having trouble with my neck again. So just noticing we're like this towards Zoom all day. I forgot to talk about the back body, but we're separated a lot of the time. And I was reminded recently that, when modernity came, there was this sort of slice off from body and brain. Jewish thinking became sort of foremost, and we didn't want the irrational emotionality of Hasidism. There was cutting off, and that also that cutting off is a cutting off of the feminine, because that's the embodied becomes connected with the feminine. There's all it's so I think we are prone to compartmentalizing, but in fact, heart, mind, body, spirit is constantly there supporting one another, foundations for perhaps for each other. So nurturing one area can support the other areas, but I think we have to remember that when there's trouble, there's a stressful thinking piece, it affects our spirit. Maybe we can use, again, I don't know if it necessarily answers the question. It just makes me wonder. I'm curious about maybe these other places can support, because they're integrated and they're affected one by the other, by the health of the areas, but also perhaps they support each other and do act as foundation. I would be curious to hear what you think, Carla. Certainly, the last thing I'd say about that is I do find that I go off, I pause on my deep vocal practice for a while with my teacher, and I go and I do meditation, and I dig deep into that, and then I notice I come back to my vocal work and it's advanced. I notice I do my processing and therapy. I attend to like emotional regulation, and I notice I come back to some other part of my life and I see the ways it's all connected. I see the ways I can support the various aspects of me by delving in and supporting one area, and how integrated, in fact, I am. Does that, Josh, do you have a
I mean, I'll just say that I think I was registering even just last week. I had a really important and hard and very clarifying conversation with someone on Friday. And then when I went and sat on Shabbat and was davening, I could feel in my body like something had really cleared as a result, right? That there was this difficult thing that had been carrying for months, I think, right? And I think we've all kind of probably experienced something like that, where you have that and you're carrying it with you. And then but then in sitting and in really tuning into what's going on inside, it's like, oh, wow, this rock that I'd been lugging around with me sort of dissolved, and there was more sort of openness and spaciousness. So, yeah, I 100% that these things all interweave and are supports for each other. And sometimes the spirit is the root into the body, and sometimes the body is the root in, right?
And
we have time for, I was going to push it to one more question if we can.
And
we
just
do more?
to say,
Yeah.
yes, just to say, I thought about that today, because how in our short time to touch that place of source of life. And so I thought, okay, because it's in a body practice, we go in through the body. We could have done that by dancing, by singing. So different ways. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I should also say Michal Smart, who works with us, who's our chief program officer at IJS. She led for our staff this week on our staff meeting. We often do practice together, and she led a standing practice, sort of drawn on yoga, but it was an awareness practice of standing and realizing Yesod isn't just. We usually think of Yesod's bottom, but Yesod is all around, right? And that we were really sort of experiencing Yesod, this foundation from all over the place, which we get if you engage your body then, and not only doing, the sitting. So, all right, last question is, could you speak more about the actual process of softening? Evidently, I asked this question yesterday, but want to hear this perspective. So the process of softening.
It's so great. Actually, I think last time I was here, or sometime when I was teaching, I had the same question. So I realized, I'm so glad you're asking it, because it suggests that we need to clarify what that means. So let's go into practice for this last minute together. So if you're comfortable and able, Philippe, bring your palm to the center of your chest. So you just might feel, you can notice what you do feel right away. Just notice what actually comes up underneath your palms. This is actually in the body, what we notice. You might notice a rising and falling there at the chest, as you were invited to do in the middle of the sit. In the exhalation, let your palms settle into the chest. Let your chin drop a little bit. What we're doing is inviting a little bit of melting of the heart armor. We're imagining the hand to go into the chest as if into soft sand, to leave an impression. Maybe the jaw can drop too. So this is one, we might come out of that. You might just notice, was there an experience of what happens when I let my shoulders drop? Like in a sigh. Here they're held, here the holding is softened. So the one other example I would say is, maybe let's hold a fist. Yeah, beautiful. And then we're gonna slowly Uncurl that left fist. So it's gentle, just soft, like you have a little eggshell, robin's eggshell in your hand. So this is held, which can be important. We're not saying it's good or bad. Could be bad if it's causing pain in the body, if it's held, or it's an emotion, or like Josh's story, it's a piece that's being held on to. If we want to soften, we need to invite the breath, perhaps. That's what we do in meditate in our practice. We invite the breath to come. In this case, we're using the muscles to soften the holding, to release, to ungrip, to unwind, to unravel, to unhinge, unlatch. And in our practice, very much, we have the breath as our companion, as an instrument of softening, an instrument to help that which is hardened or tight or just could be more open or agile. We have the breath as companion. And also love. I mean, love is like one of the best softeners. You know, we use softener in the laundry, right? We use fabric softener. We make so the towels don't come out hard and crispy. It's exactly the same with feelings, muscles, thoughts, loving, words. All of it can be softened in that same way. We just have to find the right softener sheet, whether it be the breath or the muscles or an idea or somebody else's love or our own love or the love of a pet. Thanks for the beautiful questions.
That's a great answer. Thank you. We're unfortunately out of time, but thank you, Aviva. It's been a real pleasure, and it's great to see everyone. And hope to see you back on Monday. And wish you Shabbat Shalom. Okay.
Shabbat
All right.
Shalom.